The Middle Ages were a time of merciless justice, where prisoners had no rights and the public demanded bloody retribution. From hangings to beheadings, the various forms of medieval execution were not for the faint of heart. Imagine being forced to witness a public execution surrounded by a cheering crowd with no laws to protect you. Let's take a closer look at some of the most common types of executions in the Middle Ages. Hung, drawn, and quartered is often regarded as one of the most gruesome forms of capital punishment. In the past, this was the punishment handed down to those who were found guilty of high treason. The person responsible for the crime would be hanged, and only moments before they would die, they would be released. They would then be disemboweled, and their organs would be thrown into a fire while they were still alive. After they had been put to death, the criminals' bodies would customarily be dismembered into 4 parts and then distributed throughout the city to serve as a public deterrent and a warning to others. Hanging. Execution by hanging, often known as suffocation or choking to death using a noose that is suspended from the ceiling. A person is traditionally put to death by hanging from a gallows or crossbeam until they suffocate to death, which is considered the traditional method of execution. People who are going to be executed by hanging stand on a trapdoor, and when the trap is released, they fall many feet until the rope that is tied around their neck stops them. This is another prevalent method of execution. It is believed that the sudden jerk causes an immediate loss of consciousness because it breaks the cervical vertebrae. The noose may include a knot or a metal eyelet known as the hangman's knot, which assists in jerking the victim's head back with sufficient force to break the victim's neck. Under ancient Roman law, one of the methods of execution was by hanging, and the Anglo-Saxons got this method of execution from their Germanic forebears. By the 12th century, it had been mandated as the method of punishment for homicide in England, and with time, it came to supplant all other types of lethal punishment for criminal convictions. This continued to be the case right up till 1965, when the death penalty was finally abolished in Great Britain. In England, executions by hanging were carried out in public until the year 1868, when they were conducted inside the jails. The practice of hanging criminals grew to be commonplace over the entirety of British Empire and anywhere else in the world that the Anglo-American common law was used. Additionally, it was adopted as standard practice in Japan, Austria, Hungary, and Russia. Up until the middle of the 20th century, the most common method of execution in the United States was the hanging of the condemned. In the United States and other parts of the world, lynchings typically involve the use of hanging as the method of execution. Drawn and quartered. In England, the punishment for the crime of treason was to be drawn and quartered. This was a medieval form of execution. It was reserved for the crime of treason since it was thought to be more horrible than murder and other types of capital offenses. Many people think that this is the essence of cruel punishment, and it was reserved for that crime. The gruesome punishment consisted of dragging the condemned to the gallows, most of the time using a horse, hanging the body until it was nearly dead, disemboweling and castrating the body, then beheading the body, and finally quartering the corpse, which is the division of the bodily remnants into 4 separate pieces. The criminal was made to suffer even more by having their sentence carried out in public, where they were subjected to the jeers and laughter of onlookers. Only male criminals were subjected to this particular form of punishment. In England, women who were found guilty of treason were burned at the stake. It was not outlawed until 1867, but it was practiced for the first time in the 13th century and wasn't done for the last time until 1782. This method of retribution was purposefully cruel since it was utilized during a period in which rulers wanted to maintain their status and control via the use of the most effective measures possible. Because treason posed the greatest danger to the monarch, the most severe punishment and, as a result, the most effective deterrence was reserved for those who committed this crime. Drawing and quartering are just one of the many methods that rulers have used throughout history to create fear and obedience in their subjects. Throughout history, monarchs have utilized a variety of methods. The day that those in positions of leadership discover ways to love and care for those for whom they are accountable, so establishing a society in which the threat of brutal punishment is no longer required to retain allegiance is still a day that many people look forward to seeing come to pass. That's all for today's video. We'll be right back with more, so don't forget to give this one a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.